while we do a lot of work and we push the building, becoming a better developer, building better developers, one of the things that we need to do is stay healthy. You're not going to be as productive if you are exhausted or ill in some way, or just, if your diet is just not very good. And so health is key. And plus, if your health's really bad, you're not going to live as long. So I guarantee you're not going to get as much done if you, have less days to do them in. And that may seem a little morbid, but unfortunately, it's part of the truth. So maybe in the year ahead, and maybe you've put on weight in the last year, particularly there's a lot of people that gained COVID weight. If you look about the last couple of years in specific, because people were, sitting around, not as active, maybe it's time to make some changes. So maybe you decide that it's time to do, maybe some regular sit-ups or push-ups, or join a gym, or, go for a walk or a run or swim or things like that, to get get the blood flowing, get some endorphins running, get your body just feeling a little bit better. Another way, a big impact on all that stuff is diet and food. Maybe now's the time to look at things like how much sugar you consume, or caffeinated drinks, or fatty foods, or and this even goes almost to finances a little bit. Maybe you eat out a lot, and particularly maybe you eat out and eat some really crappy food, and you can do a win-win. If you don't eat out as much, you have some healthier meals that you prepare at home, and you save some money there, but also then you're eating healthier. So maybe look at diet food. And that may be a planning thing where you say, hey, I'm going to start setting aside an hour every evening that's going to be to cook and consume, a nice meal, as opposed to running over to McDonald's or something like that. Maybe there's some sports or activities like that it's time for you to, do that, to add a little bit of accountability to your desire to get out there and, be active. It's one thing to say, I'm going to walk every day. It's another if you join a baseball team or soccer team or something like that, where they have games on a regular basis. Hey, we're, expecting you to be at the game, get out there and exercise. And maybe with that too, you don't want to, stink it up when you're playing that game. So that is additional motivation for you to do other exercise outside of the sport, whether it's weightlifting or cardio or something like that. And then there's mental health and stress. As you are doing sort of your annual retrospective, there may be some things that you're looking back where you're like, that was a rough haul. That was A, B, and C happened, and I was just depressed or exhausted or just spread too thin. And maybe it's things like I don't take breaks enough during the day. It could be very simple things where take a look at those and see if there's some adjustments that you can make, where maybe say, okay, maybe I do like a Pomodoro technique where I'm going to spend 10 minutes, I don't know, staring out the window, or go for just a walk around the building, the house, wherever I'm at, just something to get away from work for a little bit as a stress reducer on a regular basis. Maybe you just don't have enough fun. Maybe you have filled your schedule with work so much that it's time to go back and say, all right, I need to take, a half hour a day for my own mental health and do something that's just fun. Or I need to make sure that I take, Saturdays, I'm not working, that I'm doing other stuff. I'm not using it as a spillover day. And all these things are great to do now in these times where it's a little less hectic, because they're a great time to start it. Those are the times where you can say, okay, I want to get the momentum of doing this thing, and I have less distractions to, be that excuse to say, okay, today I'll just pass and I'll catch up on it tomorrow. Finances. One of the things that we have bills, and maybe you made some major purchases, in the last year, the year before, something like that. Maybe there's some things that it makes sense as we're getting near the end of the year. Maybe you've got a bonus or things of that nature, where there's some things that's worth paying them down or paying them off. Or maybe as you're looking into the year ahead, you look at what your trajectory is, and set yourself up to say, hey, I can, if I do a little bit more, if I make a little bit of adjustments here, I could make a nice, either, do a sizable pay down of this thing, or maybe I can pay it off. Maybe I can, if I throw an extra $10 a month at this bill, it can be, paid off by the end of the year instead of having to take it into the year ahead. Maybe there's some year-end giving and contributions that you want to make. If you've got some extra money that doesn't necessarily need to go to pay down debt or something, maybe this is time to give to that charity that you've always said you're going to give to, or donate things like, if you're cleaning stuff out, maybe there's some things that you can go ahead and get those donations in so you can cover it for the tax year and get the extra bonus of not only feeling good for giving something, but also, get a little tax bonus when that comes around. So you've got a little less of a burden. There's again maybe there's some gift planning and reviews that you need to do. There's some things for the year ahead that, maybe this year you got stuck last minute buying Christmas gifts and or holiday gifts of whatever sort, and having to wrap them and do all that kind of stuff. Maybe if you look the year behind, maybe there's some birthday gifts that you missed or things like that. Maybe, this is not a bad time to look at the year ahead and say, okay, these are the things that I wanted to do that I didn't do. I need to, schedule them or plan or something so that I don't fall into that trap again. Or maybe I just, I've got that hard to buy for person, and I know that they're, maybe their birthday's coming up in June, but I need to sort of look, start thinking about what I'm going to get for them now, so I don't end up in June scrambling and trying to get them, some random thing because I just wasn't thinking about it. Sometimes it helps to just, occasionally, in a mental sense, pull something off the shelf, examine it for a little bit, and then you can put it back, because maybe there's those gift ideas will pop up as you're surfing the internet through the next 6 months. Also, are there vacations that bigger plans that you want to have for the year ahead, or you want to have some destination vacation or something where you need to, maybe make some reservations, or maybe it makes sense to start saving for that now and putting some money aside so that you're not financially crunched and then stressing when you go on that vacation, as opposed to enjoying the time and making the most of it. So focus a little more on the looking ahead. What are, this year that's coming up? What do we want to do? Look at what we've done this year. What are some of the major goals and next steps that we've got? And again, in all these areas, whether it's career, business, whether it's financial, whether it's personal, whether it's health. It goes back to the concept we mentioned early on with the business. Is there some prep work that needs to be done? Are there people I need to notify? Are there relationships I need to begin? Are there subscriptions I need to start? Is there money I need to start putting aside? Are there habits that I need to start building? Though if it's a health thing, maybe I need to go talk to a doctor first before I launch into this thing that I want to do, to make sure that it's healthy, that it's not something that's going to be an issue. Particularly, let's say I want to lose 100 pounds in the year ahead, and I'm going to do it through some sort of massive diet and health thing. That's pretty substantial. So maybe it is something you want to talk to a doctor or an expert of some sort to say, yeah, you can do that, or no, you need to adjust your goals. With some of these things, are there appointments or communication that needs to go out? If you want to go, this goes back, like if you want a vacation, do you need to go ahead and reserve the hotel rooms or tickets or spots? Are there appointments that you need to schedule to prepare for? Like the classic would be, if you're going to go on a beach vacation, maybe you're somebody that wants to schedule some tanning appointments or weight loss appointments before. Are there, for example, weddings or graduations that are coming up that you need to, schedule, get a hair appointment in, or order some thank you cards or cards of various sorts for that thing. Or maybe a suit that you need to rent, or clothes you need to buy, things like that. Is what is it that I want to do? I've got these goals and these next steps I want to take. Are some of these going to require some groundwork beforehand? Are there, in a similar sense, are there some prerequisites that I need to look at? A certification would be a good example. If I want to get a certain type of certification, it may be that I have to take a certain class, or I have some other tests that I need to pass before I can even take that certification. It's sort of like if you're working on a degree, if I want to have the final couple of classes, there are probably some other classes I have to take before I can even take those. So maybe there's some pre-steps that I need to take, some prerequisites that I need to address before I can dive into those major goals and take those next steps. And with all of this, I think it's important to look at where can you find some help as far as accountability is concerned. If these are some things, particularly looking the year back or years that have gone by, are there things that you keep seeing that you want to do, but you just, when push comes to shove, you don't get them done? Things get pushed aside, that they get pushed back, that they get shifted to the next week or the next month or the next quarter or the next year. Are there some changes that you need to make? Are there people that you want to tell about it? Not to be self-serving, but does your mentor or mastermind group need to know about it, so that, and maybe be told that, hey, keep beating the drum on this for me to help me be motivated enough to get it done, or to be accountable enough that I'm like, oh, crud, I need to get this done or make progress on it, so that I don't feel ashamed, essentially, when people say, hey, how's that going? And I say, I haven't looked at it in a month. So maybe there's some accountability that you need to put in place. Look at the things where you've been challenged or failed in the past, and are there some adjustments you can make to help drive you forward and make it successful this time around? Looking ahead, are there ways that you need to invest in the future that make sense today? And for example, we're talking about, look at tax implications and stuff like that. Are there, and maybe even just where your finances are at? Are there, or gosh, looking at interest rates and how markets are doing and things like that? Are there maybe some expenses that it makes more sense to take those on now than it does in 3 months or 6 months? Are there some things that, for example, are there products that or services that you want to buy or need to buy, but because it's maybe it's a year-end sale and you can go get those cheaper now than you can 3 or 4 months from now? We've already missed Black Friday, but sometimes that's a great deal because everybody has deals at that time. There may be subscriptions and things like that you want to have in the year ahead, and it's better to do it now because there are deals and sales going on than if you do it in 3 or 4 months. And maybe you don't want it. Maybe it's going to be more costly overall to start it now versus start it later, but maybe not. For example, maybe there's food or related dry goods that last forever, or close enough to it that it makes sense to go ahead and make those purchases now, even though you're not going to need them for 3 months, but because it's not like they're going to be useless in 3 months. You've just booked those expenses earlier. When you look at some of your goals and things you wanted to do, is there some sort of savings or payment plan or something that you need to look at to get yourself in position for that? Maybe you bailed on a vacation this last year because when you got to the point where you needed to pay for some of it, you didn't have the money. So, maybe in the year ahead, you say, all right, I need to set aside X amount of dollars, a week, a month, or whatever, so that I don't run into that again. So I have that money set aside. Similar to the expenses you should book this year, are there maybe some cost saving opportunities to take advantage of? A good example is your cell phone and your cable bills and contracts. A lot of those things change from time to time and throughout the year. And so maybe now is a good time to examine some of those things and maybe do some, maybe there's some bundling you can do, or some new services and plans that have become available that you can take advantage of and reduce some of your monthly regular costs. make some adjustments to your budget, some things that maybe you can stop doing or you don't need anymore, that you can reduce some of your costs. And then are there career steps that you need to start taking? We talk about the career roadmap, but maybe there have been some challenges in the year that's just gone by. Maybe you applied for a position and didn't get it and have some specifics about it that you say, oh, okay, here are some needs, so that the next time that opportunity comes up, I will have those, be able to check those boxes off, or I'll have that experience or those skills so that I'm a better fit for it. And it could be certifications. It may be working on a degree. It may be, certain experiences that you need to have. So maybe you need to search out a certain type of work, maybe even volunteer doing something so that you can say, yes, I've done that. I have some experience now. So that there's some things that maybe were, blockers of some sort that, and maybe even now, maybe it's something in the next couple of weeks as we're getting to the end of the year, that you can take some steps that will put you in a better position in the future to win that, win that position or win that job or that contract.